Hey everyone, Eric with Rocket H. In this video I want to answer, how do you do a DCP run? I see this question come up often in different Facebook groups, on social media, and I want to share my experience so you can learn. At this moment I've done 6 different runs, so by no means am I an expert. There are guys that have done way more, that have vast amounts of knowledge beyond what I know, but I'm here to share what I've learned so far. Here you go. The Cliff Notes version of doing a DCP run is as simple as this. 1. You have to apply and prove that you are a legit business. Now, why you have to do that, I don't know, especially if you're doing a private run. Who cares, right? But anyway, I had to turn in my tax ID number. At the time, I think I used my social. Now I've got something else. And then I had to fill out a couple of formality pieces of paper, turn them in, and that was that. Number 2, once your account is approved, we will be assigned a representative from DCP that helps us go through all the steps and do the run. And then number 3, come up with an idea for the run and pay for it, and off you go. Pretty simple, right? For a more nuanced answer, here's what you got to do. Well, let's answer first, why is it called a run? I really have no idea why it's called a run. That's just DCP first gear language for a group of trucks that you're commissioning to have made. Okay. There's basically 2 ways to do a run. The first is what I call an owner-operator, and then there is a company run. The owner-operator, or it's basically a private run. It'd be a truck with no company affiliation, and there's really no rules to creating this kind of run. You come up with an idea and you do it. If there's any artwork that you want that is trademarked or copyrighted, you can't use it. And DCP's art department watches this like a hawk, so they don't get in any legal trouble, right? So any artwork you choose has to be original artwork, copyright and trademark free, okay? So like stripes and things are probably okay, but if you're using a company name, out. You got to get permission. Leading me into the next step, the company run. This is different. For example, I did a company run for Johnson Harvesting. I had to ask Johnson Harvesting for permission to use their name, their branding, all that stuff. And then they had to sign a document giving me permission to use all of that, their copyrighted artwork in their name. The minimum order for a run is 504 units. However, you can split a run into 2 sets of 252. In this image, there are 2 runs of 504 I did using T680s and W900s. The 2 sets of 252 have to be absolutely identical except for the artwork and paint. The T680s are vastly different in color and art, but the base models are identical. The same is with the W900s. Although I kept the color scheme the same, the stripes are basically the same, I just changed the colors and that was it. There is a small upcharge for splitting a run. This means if a 504 unit run is $70 per unit, that same set might cost $72 if you're doing 2 sets of 252. Okay? So the math would be basically 252 at $72 versus 504 at $70. And really, you can't blame them. I mean, if you're going to do a set of colors like I did on the T680s, if you do the green and white and then you do the yellow and you have different artwork that takes different you got to spool up and have your people doing different amounts of work. I surely wouldn't give my time away if I were doing the same thing, so I certainly don't blame DCP for that. All tractors and trailers have a base price. In this example, we're going to use $65. And in the description, what I'll do is I've got a document from DCP that shows you all the base, shows you the base model for, I believe it's a 389, 379 Pete. It shows you what the base model would look like, and then it has a list of all the additional parts that you can choose to put on there. And every additional part is an upcharge. We're going to use $65 per unit as just a hypothetical number. Let's say you want miter cut straight pipes, full stainless fenders, white letter tires, and a headache rack. All those items are upcharges, as I just mentioned. I did a set with white letter tires and it was a $3 upcharge at that time. So it was my base cost, 65 for example, plus 3 made the truck now my cost 68. Depending on the additional parts you want, I mean, it's easy to get a $80 plus. I did another truck and my cost was 82 bucks. And then I had to retail that out for additional money. Once I have my idea down and I'm ready to begin doing artwork. Now, DCP is not going to do anything with artwork until you pay a down payment. When I decide what I want to do, when I decide on my project, I will be invoiced for 20% down. That's 20% of the total cost at that time. 20% has to be paid before artwork's going to be started, and you're assigned a run number such as 601, 1802, for example. Let's talk about artwork and paint. I've been responsible for supplying all the artwork. For example, this truck is in Las Vegas gold and sable. I supplied the DuPont paint codes, which are in DCP's book of paint, so I could use them. DCP has a catalog with all these different paint codes in it, and if the paint code you want is in there, then you can have your truck that color. Then I had to supply the Pantone color codes for the stripes. This is kind of a tedious process. These particular stripes are decals or decorations in DCP's vocabulary. Now, why Pantone color codes? Pantone is a universal language for printing. The idea is a graphic designer in America can use these codes, and a company in China can print the colors, and they're going to be the same as if they were printed in America. So Pantone is basically a universal language. If you have a company logo, the logo needs to be supplied in vector format. This is a graphic design software that allows an image to be resized and not lose any of its digital integrity. And it's also made in layers, which is a whole lot of nerd speak that I don't know much about. If you're going with a logo off of the internet, if you've ever done that before and you've resized it in any kind of software and you like blow it up and it gets all pixelated or gets all weird, that's the opposite of vector format. So that's what you have to do, is find a graphic designer or someone to get that in vector format, and then Diecast Promotions can use it when they gin up your artwork on your truck. I mentioned about all the different kinds of parts you have or you can get. DCP has a sheet you can fill out that itemizes every single silly detail that you might want on your tractor trailer. You would go through each line item if it applies to your project and indicate what parts you want in specific colors, such as painted fuel tank straps, the color of the frame, what kind of exhaust, what color is the frame, trailer frame color, for example, where branding should go on that tank or flatbed or whatever it is you're making or having designed. It lists every little detail, and you can go through there and make sure. It just takes out a lot of the headache, well, or a lot of the trouble of having redesigns, okay? Once you submit the required information, the designer at DCP's, the designers or the graphic artists at DCP create what's called a line art sheet. This sheet shows you what the truck is going to look like on paper. This is the time to evaluate the project and make any changes. This is the time to scrutinize the line art, as you get 2 free changes, and then after that there's an upcharge with every change. Once I approve the artwork, I have to sign a document saying I approve, and the model goes into production. Once I've signed the document, no further changes can be made. That's it. Approximately 5-ish months, and this all depends on how the world is going at the time, you can expect production photos. You'll see a lot of different producers reuse these when they announce their trucks. I mean, I do it, a lot of other guys do it too, or people do it. Production photos basically mean your trucks are made. Alright, I approved the production pics. My models get on a boat. About 30-ish days later or so, they arrive in the United States. Once in the USA, they take a train or a truck to Iowa. When the trucks get to Iowa, or Diecast Promotions, that starts a 14-day clock. Within 14 days, I need to have 2 things done. And a quick side note here. One thing I would do is ask explicitly when that countdown begins, okay? If you take pre-orders and people need to pay you so you can pay DCP, they will have time to get payment to you, and then you can ensure you make your payment timely. Okay, back to our 14 days. I'm going to receive an invoice less the down payment, and I need to submit payment in full at that time, within that 14 days. Trucks will not be shipped to you or to anyone else until payment is received by Diecast Promotions. You can do a check, you can do a wire transfer. I've been doing wire transfer. It's kind of my preferred way because it's like that. And then I also need to tell DCP where I want the truck shipped and if I will have a forklift, a loading dock, or not. This dictates what kind of semi they're going to use to deliver my trucks. 2, if I have a dropship list, I must have that also submitted in that 14-day window as well. A dropship list works like this. I reach out to dealers that say they want to buy my trucks at wholesale. If I want DCP to ship those trucks on my behalf, I fill out the drop ship list and I tell Diecast Promotions what carrier to use. And they will ship out whatever quantity at my expense, which you can either build into the cost of your trucks or you can offer free shipping or however you want. For drop shipping, I pay the actual shipping fees plus a $10 per person handling fee. So DCP's handling this on my behalf and I'm paying them to do $10 to do it per order. So whether it's 6 cases or 1 case, it's $10 for handling. Like the line art I mentioned above, if I submit the drop ship list and then make edits to it, there is a $10 per edit fee. So it's worth getting your drop ship list right the first time. If you're late making your payment to Diecast Promotions for your entire run, on future runs, not only will you need to make a 20% deposit to begin line art, you'll also have to make a 20% additional payment when production images are sent. Plus, there's a warehouse or fee per pallet of trucks also levied after the 14 days are up. So you really want to have your ducks in a row. It's not an emergency, but you do want to be organized and get this stuff done timely. So let's talk about how to price your diecast. At this time, I've received no rules about how to price my diecast runs. The models are my property, so I can do with them whatever I want. I can give them away, I can throw them away. They're mine, right? So the models are my property. I'm free to do with them as I wish. If I buy someone else's models at wholesale to sell at retail, I have to abide by that producer's rules, whatever they may be. Like I've received emails saying, here Eric, these are for wholesale. If you want some, tell me how many. You have to buy a case of each one of these that I'm doing, and you can't sell them for less than this price for 90 days. Okay, no worries. And then other guys, they might have a rule, you can't sell them on eBay because I'm selling them on eBay, or whatever their rules are. You have to follow their rules just because they did the run. And they may not sell to you in the future if you don't abide by whatever it is they want. So there's that. But as for your own trucks, you're free to price them at whatever you want. So if you want to sell them at uber cheap prices and bring the price down altogether, that's fine. You just take less profit. However, you also have all the risk, but that's another discussion for another day. So I hope you've learned something from my experience. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to ask, because I'm more than happy to share what I know. And I thank you for watching. If you have any comments or questions, of course, leave them in the comment box down below. And hopefully, if I can't answer them, somebody else that has way more experience than I do will give us a hand. All right. Thanks for watching.